Hi everyone, Sheryl here. So I'm here today to share with you a DT project that I completed for Miriam's Crafting Supplies. So Miriam's Crafting Supplies, she sells metals as well as charms, she sells pearls, as well as a lot of other things. She also sells paper and things like that. So she has a blog, which I'll leave the link in the description box below, that has a lot of her charms and the metal pieces and things like that. But she's also on Facebook, and so there she also takes orders for papers and different things like that, a lot of the new hot items that we have to have. So again, I'll leave her links in the description box below so you guys can go check her out. She has great prices and fast shipping. So what I did was I created a postcard. This postcard is 4x6, and I used these as I said before, the romance novel papers. And then what I did was I used some lace that you see here in the background. I've got that wrapped around just to cover this front here and a little bit on the back. And then I also have these metal corner pieces in white. Those are from Miriam. And then I've got the tiny little heart there as well as the pearl. And that's on both ends here. And then I have some flowers as well as some more metal pieces on here. So here's a metal flower here. That's from Miriam's Crafting Supplies. This is a wild orchid craft flower that's been stickled. And this is a wild orchid craft flower that's been stickled. And both of those are from Archana. And then I have two flowers here from my stash, and both of those have stickles on them as well. There's a little clock piece in here that's tucked behind. That's Miriam Crafting Supplies. And then this really tiny silver teacup that's so super cute. That's from Miriam's Crafting Supplies as well. So what I did was I just took 3 different papers and just kind of layered them on top of each other, but turned them so that you would see the other papers peeking out from behind. And then I stickled the edges of those. I put some glossy accents on the typewriter, and voila, it's done. When you flip it over, I have some tiny Chinese spray going around the edges so that I can hide the lace that I wrapped around, but then also to finish off the postcard as well. Alright, so we are going to create this together. So the one that we're going to create is slightly larger than this. That's going to be 4.5 by 6.5. Okay, so what I did in the interest of saving time and to keep this tutorial down so it isn't too terribly long, I went ahead and covered my chipboard already. So I cut a piece of chipboard that was 4.5 by 6.5, and then I took a sheet of craft cardstock and cut that at 5.5 by 7.5, scored it at a 1/2 inch all the way around, wrapped the chipboard, took another piece of craft cardstock, stamped my postcard stamp on that, and that one measures the 4.5 by 6.5, and I stuck that down, and I used ATG tape for everything because I wanted it to be kind of sturdy. I didn't want it to be flimsy as it would be if I just used regular paper. Okay, so that's just in the interest of saving some time. So again, this one is a little larger, 4.5 by 6.5, and the stamp that I used is this wood stamp here. This one I purchased from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so here is my paper that I'm going to use. And it nests in there perfectly. I've already inked my edges. I used the Tim Holtz Distress Ink and tea dye. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and put some adhesive down so that we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Alright. So now what we're going to do is make sure that when you get ready to put your paper down, the back side that has a postcard stamp, make sure that is on the correct side, because you don't want to accidentally have it upside down and then you have to rip your paper up or try to cover up all the writing, which I don't want to do. So this is on the right side. I'm just going to flip that over, and then I will center this and go ahead and stick that down. Oh, and your sheet here, your design paper, is trimmed down to 6 3/8 by 4 3/8 because you want it to be just under the 4.5 by the 6.5. Alright, so I'm going to take my bone folder and smooth that out. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my lace down. Now this lace is from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I want it to be, kind of in the center. And then I'll hold it, make sure I have enough on the edges to glue, to fold over and glue. And then I'm just going to flip that over, make sure it's still kind of even. And then just take my hot glue and put hot glue here in order to glue this down. Excuse me. And then I'm just folding that over and sticking that down. Okay, so it looks like that. And don't worry about that extra glue that oozed out. The Chinese spray will cover that up. So all I'm gonna do is rotate this around, go ahead and stretch this out a little bit, and then fold this over. So this one is actually just a little too long, so I'm gonna trim that down just a tiny bit. Excuse me. There we go. Because I don't want it to overlap too much, because the Chinese braid that I'm using is only like 3/8 of an inch. So I still don't want it to be poking out. Alright, so that's a little better. I'm going to go ahead and flip this back over. Move it that way, and then go ahead and put some more hot glue and trim this out. Or glue it down, rather. Excuse me. Okay. And then that's done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my metal corners on. Okay. Just moving my supplies over. Excuse me. Alright, so for the metal corners, in order to glue those down, what I'm using is glossy accents. And all I'm going to do is just put glue in various spots, just so I can make sure that I get a good stick. Okay. So I'm just kind of going up and going over a lot of the little tiny areas here. And glossy accents does dry clear. It will give a little bit of a glaze, but in this case I think it will be okay. I'm just making sure I got enough on there. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this down in the top left corner. And then go ahead and hold that down just for a few seconds to ensure that you get a good stick. And then we can go ahead and move on to the next corner. Alright, sometimes it still moves just a little bit. And to ease my peace of mind, I'm just going to go ahead and put some glossy accents underneath that, just so I can make sure that it does not move once I have it stuck down. So I know I'm off camera, but I'm just holding it up so I can make sure that I get some more down there, because it wasn't sticking like I needed it to. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put some more glossy accents on the other metal corner piece and stick that one down as well. Excuse me. Alright, I know I'm off camera, but I need to be able to see it, because the last time it looks like I didn't have enough because it didn't stick down good. Okay. So I think I have ample coverage on this one, and we're just going to rotate this and then stick this one down as well. Now I know there are other glues that you guys can use, but I just like using the glossy accents. It dries clear. It's pretty quick when it adheres down. And then you can go ahead and go from there. Okay. And then if you have any excess glue, you can go ahead and just kind of smooth that out. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more on this one corner as it seems to be lifting up some more. Oops. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to put our papers together to put up here in the middle. So what I normally do, well, no, first we're going to go ahead and put our pearls down on our metal pieces here. Okay, this one is giving me issues. Hold on a second. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the metal pieces first. Miriam also offers a pencil that you guys can use in order to pick up the little pearls like this. This one's the heart. She offers a pencil that you guys can buy, and I believe the pencil may be under $1. I'm pretty sure it's under $1. I could be wrong. Don't hold it against me if I'm wrong, but I do believe it's only less than $1. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this heart, I put some glossy accents on the bottom of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and put those on the corners as well. So I'm going to put that on the first large piece on the corner. No, I am off frame, but I gotta get it centered so that it's just right. Glossy accents does give you just a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so there's the first heart. And then I'm going to take the tiny pearl and put that one right there. Okay. Alright, so I'm just putting some glossy accents on the pearl. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick that down as well. And I know my finger is in the way. Okay. So there you have it, the heart and then the pearl. I'm just going to rotate this and repeat that on the opposite side. Excuse me. So I'm just putting some glossy accents on the pearl. And then I can go ahead and stick that one down. So there's that one, and then I can stick down the tiny pearl. And then we can go ahead and move on to the papers. Okay. So now there's this one. Okay. So there we go. So now we have the heart and the pearl in the two corners. So now we'll go ahead and do our papers for the middle part there. And then after that, we can go ahead and do the flowers, and then go ahead and put the Chinese braid on the back. So these are my 3 pieces that I used. So I had this one here, I had this one this way, and then I flipped this one upside down, and I put that one this way. But I made sure that you could see all of the papers. So let's see. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and looking at it just so I can see how I put them. Okay, so this one went this way. And then this one was that way. Yep. Okay. So, sorry, I was a little off camera. I was just positioning them the way I had the other one, the way I wanted to be able to see the papers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ATG tape on the back of this one, but not all the way, but enough so that I can actually get the rest of the other papers covered. So I'm leaving about a ½ inch from the top and the bottom. And then I'm putting adhesive there. So I'll show you guys what I mean in 2 seconds. Okay. So if you guys can see that, I left about a ½ inch, maybe a little more than a ½ inch on each end. And that way when I stick this down, it'll be okay. I'll still have ample coverage. So this one gets turned this way. This one is turned more towards straight. but I still want to be able to see paper from both the top, the sides, and the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that down. And if you guys can tell, it's pretty good coverage here. It's not lifting up on the sides at all. So there we go. So now for the next one, again, this one I turned upside down because I didn't want to be able to see that border towards the top. And then this one, I'm going to angle it so that I can see the pieces like, let's see how I had this one. I believe I had it like this. Okay. All right, so for the back one, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna leave about 1/2 of an inch and then just put the tape across and then go ahead and stick this down to the other one. Okay. No. Lift that up because I didn't want to see any of sorry guys, just trying to position this the way that I need it to be. Let me look at this one again one more time. Okay, so this one you saw more on the opposite side. So I haven't truly smoothed it down so I can lift it up. Okay. So I saw that much. This goes there. That's like that. So that's about right. And then this one comes out over more so towards the top and then not as much on the bottom. So I have them positioned the way I want. You just gotta kind of play with it until you get it the way you need it to be. So what I'm gonna do now is, now that I have them that way, I'm just gonna take just a little bit of hot glue and glue this piece down, just because I don't want to bend it too much to try to get the ATG tape there. And then I'll do the same thing right here, just to kind of cover that up and make sure that I don't have any issues with it lifting up once I get it down. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some pop dots to pop this up. So oops. Okay. And so this way I can have it kind of standing up and out so it isn't so flush to the paper. So before I do that, I'm just going to take it and just kind of look at it to just kind of see how I want that. And I think I like it just like this. So I'm just going to flip this over just so I can see gauge wise where I need to start the pop dots. So I can start the pop dots about 1/4 of an inch down. So I'm just going to place my pop dots kind of in my corners first. And then I can go ahead and place them kind of all over. Okay. Sorry, I thought I had lost one. Okay, so this should be good because it'll have a good enough height for me. And then I'm just going to take these off and stick them down. So give me 1 second while I get these off. And I'm just doing this off camera really quickly. Okay, so now that I have them all off, I'm just going to go ahead, make sure this is the correct way, and just kind of eyeball it, make sure I have it centered. Sorry. Make sure I have it pretty centered. That's a little crooked because I want memories to be straight up and down. And then I'll go ahead and stick this down. Okay, and so there we have it. So now we can go ahead and start gluing. So what I did was I glued this piece down here off to the side. And this is what the flower looks like that I'm using. So this one I'm just going to glue right there on the side, and I'm just using my hot glue for this. So I'm just putting it in the middle because the flower that I'm going to use will actually be hot glued down as well. Okay. So now I can go ahead and take my flower, put some hot glue on the back of this one, and then stick that down as well. And just hold it for a few seconds. Okay. Then I'm gonna take my other flowers. Go. And let's see, we'll do this one first. This one I kind of had here so that this one can go here, and then the other one tucks right there. Okay, so this one I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue on the back of this one as well. And just stick that one down. This one's a little different just with the way the bottom is shaped, so I have to get my fingers in there and just make sure I get a good stick on this one as well. Then I can take this blue flower from my stash, and I've curled the ends of this one. This is the only one where I left the end on so I could curl it. And I'm just putting some hot glue on the bottom of this, and then I'm going to stick this one off to the side and make sure my tail is facing outward. I'm just going to stick this one down as well. Okay, and then this piece goes right here, and then this one right here will go right there. Okay, sorry, I was just positioning to make sure I liked it. So I'm just putting hot glue on the last flower, and then I'm just gonna slide that underneath a little bit and then press that down. Okay, so I'm just moving up that white flower a little bit, and then also tucking one of the leaves down. Alright, so now I can take this timepiece here, and then I'm going to tuck that right underneath, right there. And I can hot glue that down as well. Okay. So I'm just turning that and getting that in the corner, and then just hold that down. Okay. So almost done. And then now what I'm going to do is rotate it this way and slide the little teacup right underneath there. And that's the tiny little teacup. It is so super cute. Okay, so I'm just going to place it in there really quickly just so I can see if I like that and how that looks. I'll move this tail over just a little bit so I can make a little bit of room. And try that again. And so now that nestles in there nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some hot glue on this as well. And then I can go ahead and slide that in. And then stick it down. Okay. So before I put the glossy accents and my stickles along the edges of my flowers, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And I probably should have did this first, but I didn't. I forgot. And go ahead and put my Chinese braid along the edges to finish this off. Okay, so let me go ahead. And I usually tend to start in a corner down towards the bottom. So I'll go ahead and start here. I'm just going to take my hot glue and I am going to run it down. Okay. And then I'll take my Chinese braid, start in the corner, and then place it down. And then if it gets a little crooked, just smooth that out a little bit. Okay. So now I can go ahead, keep going. And I do little sections at a time just because it's easier and a little bit more forgiving if I need to move something. Sorry. Alright. So let's go ahead and place glue here. So, put this down, then rotate that corner. Okay, so almost done. I'm going to rotate that. Some more hot glue to go ahead and finish this up. Okay. Place that down, and then the corner. Okay, and then before I glue this all the way, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this out and then see where I need to cut it and then burn the edges, because Chinese braid does fray. So rather than wait until I get all the way up, I'd rather do it now. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to take my lighter and then burn my edges, just so I can make sure that I don't have any frays. Okay? And then I can go ahead and finish this off by sticking it down. Okay. So all I did was I put some glue right on top of the last piece. And then now I can go ahead and smooth this out and stick that down. Okay. And there we go. So now the back is finished. And now to the front, I can go ahead and put my glossy accents as well as my stickles. All right. And then you're pretty much done. So I'm just going to do stickles along the edge. I hope you guys can see. I'm just pointing and dragging down and then dragging over for where I need it to be. And that way I get the stickles. And it's so pretty once it's dry. Okay. So there's that. So I forgot to do this one here. And the stickles that I'm using is the crystal stickles, if you guys are interested. So now I'm just doing the top pieces here. That way those can be done. Oops. Okay. Then this one here. Okay. So now I have stickles on all of my pieces on the edges of the paper. So now you can go ahead and put stickles on the flowers. I'm not actually going to do all of that on camera, just because it's going to take a minute to get it the way I want it to be. But what I am going to do is go ahead and put my glossy accents on my typewriter, just because I like the way that looks once it's done. Or once it's dry, rather. Okay. Maybe I left it sitting too long straight up. I normally keep my stickles upside down, but I must have left it sitting straight up for too long and it got clogged a little bit. So let me unclog this. And then go ahead and get the stickles. I mean, that's not the stickles, but my glossy accents on the typewriter. Sorry, guys. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. Or not. All right, one more time. My glossy accents has not been clogging lately, so I don't know what the deal is. All right, so once you finish up putting your glossy accents on your typewriter and the stickles on your flowers, you are pretty much done. Okay, I think I got enough coverage there. All right, so that's it. Like I say, I'm not going to put the stickles on all the flowers because that's just going to take up too much extra time. But this is the postcard. Super cute, perfect to put on any package that you're going to be sending out, or rack, or just whatever. And again, it does not take that long to make. So here's the original one, and then here's the one that we just made, slightly larger, but still everything works out perfect. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching. I'll leave the links below so you guys can check out Miriam's crafting supplies, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.